Hi everyone, I've heard from many of you that you've run out of room on your monitoring form. So we're going to adjust it, but I wanted to take an opportunity to show you a little bit about Excel if you are interested. So I'm in the week 2 lab folder and I'm just going to click into the monitoring form and I'm going to scroll down and download it. And then once it's ready to go, I will open it up. And this is not testable, so if you don't want to do this, please don't feel any obligation to. But if you're interested in learning some more about Excel, it is a handy program to be able to use. So there's a few things that we have to do here. We have to add some more columns to our number of germinants. And because there are calculations involved and information that populates a graph, we want to do this in a strategic manner. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add some rows here, and I'm just going to go to the numbers along the very left hand side here to 21. I'm going to right click and hit insert. Okay, and I'm going to do that several times so that we have quite a few more opportunities to enter data into this form. Okay, once I've done this, you can see that we have some zeros in these cells, and then we have nothing in these cells. And that's because this form comes ready and loaded, or loaded and ready to go with a calculation in the formula bar here. So that's what is actually populating your graph, is the calculation that is in this formula bar. There's a couple of things that we have to do here. One, I messed up and I neglected to change this formula from what we usually use in the greenhouse. So usually we have 100 seeds per Petri dish, and this year, of course, we just have 50, and that was only so that you didn't have to count out 200 seeds. You only had to count out 100 seeds. I didn't think it was that anyone would have a good time counting out that many seeds. So I'm going to start at cell F10, and I'm just going to click into the formula and change 100 to 50. And all this formula is doing is adding the cells to this point of our stratified germinants and then dividing by our total number of cells minus our number of moldy cells and multiplying by 100, and that gets us to a percentage. Okay, so off the start, it's going to be really simple here because I'm just removing that 100 and changing it to 50. It's soon going to become more complicated because here, where we've inserted cells, we have no information. So what I need to do is replicate the calculation or the formula that's in the formula bar for cell F20 into F21. Okay, so we're going to break this down. We're going to go to cell F21 and we're going to go into the formula bar. We're going to hit equals because that is what tells Excel that you're doing a formula and not just typing a bunch of random letters. So if we go equals sum, you can see there are all these functions in Excel that are variations of additions. So for example, sum if is only going to add values if they meet a certain criteria. We're not getting quite that complicated, so we just want to add, and we're going to put in brackets all of the cells that we want to be added together. So here we can just click and drag, and we want to add everything up to this point. So we're going to go E10 to E21. We're going to close the bracket because that's one part of the calculation done, but we're not done yet. We want to then divide. We're going to open another bracket because we want this done first, and we're going to go 50 minus our number of moldy seeds. So we're just going to click on this cell to get F30. We're going to close that bracket, and then we're going to multiply by 100 so that we can turn it into a percentage. So that's one way of doing that, is to just fill that in for every cell. There's another way we can do it, which is called auto-populate, and this is one of my favorite Excel functions. It doesn't work perfectly for this particular autofill, but it's so handy and I use it so often, I would be remiss if I did not show it to you. So we're just going to highlight a bunch of cells where we have the information, in this case, the formula that we want. And then you can see that there's kind of a thicker plus sign, thicker white plus sign. Once I get to the bottom corner, it becomes a thin black plus sign. Okay, so here's the thicker one. Then here is a four-way arrow. That's not what we want. What we want is this plus sign. Once I have that, I click and I drag, and then it's going to autofill into those areas. Unfortunately, this particular calculation has so much going on that it doesn't autofill properly. So if we look in the formula bar here, we can see that this one is quite different from this one. So we need to change a couple of things. The first thing we need to change is the number of cells that are adding up, and then the cell for the moldy cells. So we just need to do that for each of these formulas going forward. 30. So you have two options for this. You can either put the formula fresh into each of the cells, or you can do this and change a couple of values within said formula. And really, what you want to do there is going to come down to personal preference. Okay, this one is correct except for the total number of seeds. Okay, so that's cumulative done for our stratified seeds. Now we need to do our non-stratified. So we need to start at the top and make sure we're putting our total number of seeds from 100 down to 50. And then we're going to have to fix the calculation for our auto-filled formulas, just like we did last time. Okay, so it is quite tedious. Excel is one of those programs that is really handy if you know how to use it, but if you don't know how to use it, it can be really frustrating. And one of the reasons is because of those tricks like equals. So just, for funsies, if you wanted to actually write equals 5 for whatever reason in your cell, Excel is not going to take the equal sign because you've told it equals 5. A good hack, my other favorite Excel hack, if you want this, whatever you put here, to say whatever you put there, just put a bracket in front of it or an apostrophe. Now, if I put equals 5, that apostrophe tells Excel, I want exactly what I put after this apostrophe in this cell, enough with your autocorrect nonsense. So that's just a word to the wise. Okay, so here I'm going to do it a little bit of a different way. I'm going to enter the calculation every time, and that way you can see both ways and you can determine what is faster or what you like better. I'm just going to highlight those, divided by bracket 50 minus moldy seeds, close bracket, times 100. Okay, that is driving me crazy. For whatever reason, it takes way longer in my mind, so I may not keep up with it, because there are so many steps. And the other thing that I don't like about this route is it's way too easy to forget one of the steps and have, your calculation messed up. See what I mean? Okay, open bracket 50 minus this cell, close bracket, times 100. Can't do it. Sorry, folks. Gonna autofill. And then I'm going to go and make my corrections. Okay, so I can see here it's now gone to H15, but we want H10 and we want I30. I30, H10. Okay, still lots of room for error. And you can either take the new file, or you can follow these instructions and manipulate your existing file. So whatever you prefer to do there is fine. If you choose to use the old file, you will not lose any marks for not having the updated information, because that is the file that I gave you. So it wouldn't be very fair for me to make you do all this work to it. So not to worry, I won't do that. Okay, so now I should be good to go, but I want to test it. So I'm just going to put in February 21st. And I'm actually, because I'm just making stuff up, I'm going to show you more autofills. So we're going to go like this. And I'm going to highlight those and then autofill, and it even does the right calculation for the last day of February, which is so cool. And let's say we're going to start, 3 days after we've started our experiment. Okay, so that would mean that we started our experiment on Feb 18th, just so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to scroll until I get that plus sign. I'm going to autofill. There we go. Okay. Now I'm not going to autofill anymore because we're just going to put in random numbers. Okay, so these numbers are completely randomized. They may not even make good information, but all I want to make sure of is that my information populates in the graph, which it has. And we're just going to double check, and I'm going to put the number of moldy seeds. Let's say we had 3. Okay, and we can see that where we have our formulas, this populates properly, or this populates based on the information that we put in. So you may be asking yourself, or you may have been asking yourself the whole time, like, what is the point of doing all of this work? Just tell it to add 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2. And that's fine. The reason that we put the calculations in is because then after all the work is done, let's say, oh wait, we found another moldy seed. It was hiding in there. We can update to 4 moldy seeds without having to redo all of that math. Okay, so that's the benefit. So likely a lot of our sheets are going to look like this. And then let's say it picked up at this point. Oops, there's some sort of weird spike going on here. Don't know why. So let's look at 0.15. So here we can see this number 520 is way too high. So we're going to go into that formula, and here I've got 5 instead of 50. So when we put 50 in, then all of a sudden this looks better. Okay, so there you go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all of this information and put a new blank sheet on D12 for you. Like I said before, you can use either one, so whichever one you want to use is fine. I'm also going to highlight the questions to answer so that you don't miss that, and you can use, like I said before, either this new sheet or the old sheet, or you can use your sheet and you can update it based on what I've shown you here. Whatever you want to use is fine by me. Just please make sure you have all of the information in. You are getting marked on your header information, so this information up here, your data, so make sure that it's usable, make sure that it populates the graph, and make sure that you answer the questions. And if you have trouble with any of that stuff, you know exactly where to find me, and I will be more than happy to help. Please remember that this is due by Friday of week 7, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.